All right. How are we doing? It is August 9th, 2020. Sounds from the crowd, a weekly recap. You know the boys. We got DB somewhere Hawaiian, it looks like. I don't know. Maybe he just got off the beach. Reina, he's in
Work from home. I live here
his
now.
whole apartment. Hasn't left in 2 weeks. And we got Danny hanging out at the crib. What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Not too bad.
Living the double wide dream.
It's been the bubble has given me life again.
The bubble. Speaking of the bubble, we got two games that are in action right now that have some implications. 76ers and Trailblazers. I know Reina and Danny are very interested in this game. The Trailblazers need to lose in order for the hometown Spurs to enter the eighth seed. I think the score right now is 88-86. Trailblazers are winning in the third quarter. So it's close. We'll see what happens there. But you guys watched the game yesterday?
Oh, which one?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was today. It was
Yeah,
today.
The New Orleans game was today, yeah.
Yeah. How was it?
Uh, I think with the Spurs, I think it's great that the youth is getting some time, but at a lot of points in the bubble, man, their youth has been showing. I mean, they were up by 20 and the lead got all the way down to 4, I think.
Yeah.
And so,
we did that before.
I mean,
too.
yeah, I mean, you want the youth to get time and they got to learn how to close out games, but at the same time, it's just like, come on, man, like there's a playoff spot riding on this. And so DeMar kind of took over a little bit, but I'd like to see some more on-court leadership. But that's a whole separate topic with the Spurs.
I've been pretty happy with everything. Minus losing Derek White during this game. I mean, Derek White has become like a formidable player. He showed a lot of that stuff last playoffs, and he's coming to his own. So I've really liked watching the bubble Spurs kind of transform and using the young guys a little bit more.
So, I mean, the Spurs are one of those teams where it's kind of debatable whether they should have be in the bubble, right? They had a pretty
For a
shitty.
hater like you, yes.
They had a pretty shitty season. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It was shitty by Spurs standards.
Right.
I mean, but the other thing too is that argument has kind of gone away, I think, because the Grizzlies were the ones complaining about how they weren't getting respect, and look at them. They've completely, I mean, what are they, 1-5, 1-4, 1-5 in the bubble?
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and on the other hand, you have Phoenix, who all of a sudden is undefeated in the bubble. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but
I mean, Portland was in the Western Conference Finals last year, so I mean, in reality, I mean, the teams that got brought back were actually pretty quality, but you had a couple that were included that you couldn't just like pick and choose who you wanted to come back.
Right. Well, I think they did. Honestly, I think they did pick and choose because they wanted Zion back, so they had to make it okay. Well, if Zion's coming back, then they have to bring everybody else back in. But I think bubble basketball has been a fucking shit show because it's killing me in gambling, man. Like I don't know what the fuck to expect because of the fact that you got teams like the Spurs who are just absolutely killing it, and they're not playing like they were playing. And then you got teams like the Grizzlies. You guys mentioned those two teams. And I'm gonna 8 Mile you guys right now, and I'm gonna talk shit about the Lakers because they are fucking awful. I hate them. This is the worst Lakers team I've ever watched, and I watched Smush Parker play point guard for a couple years. Jared Dudley's on the team playing minutes. J.R. Smith is freaking awful. Dion Waiters can't hit a shot to save his life. LeBron James only plays when he wants to play. AD is a beast. He's the one I like. Kyle Kuzma is like a scared puppy out there. It's a nightmare, man. I never thought we would miss Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo the way we are. I really hope that LeBron turns it on in the playoffs, but I'm not. My hopes are.
I would have to say, I mean, the first pick. You wrote that article this week, or maybe it was last week, but the path for the first pick is not easy at all. Like the path for the first pick might even be tougher than the second pick or the second ring, because you're going to have to go through possibly the Blazers, then James Harden and the Rockets, and then Kawhi and the Clippers. I mean, that's just to get to Giannis. I mean, that first seed isn't, that's a tough 3 matchups. There's no easy matchup, essentially, at all.
There's nothing easy, and then you got a team like the Rockets who are kind of killing it, but I don't know. Russ is out again today. DB, I know you put a little late juice on the Rockets first half. Not looking good. 9-21 in the first quarter. How about that?
I hate that team. No, but I do think if everyone's playing, they're dangerous. They're fun to watch. I always thought James Harden was a baby back bitch, but I love watching Russ play basketball. And they score quickly, man. They're never really out of games. Yeah. They can put together 9-10 points in a flash.
Have you ever won money off the Rockets? Because I know we lost money together.
I won more money off the Rockets than I've lost.
The one thing I will give the Rockets is that I think we can all agree that Russell Westbrook, like he truly is a little bit of a maniac, but he can ball, man. And I think that James Harden, while he can ball, he wants to act like he's Russell Westbrook attitude, but he's not. He doesn't have it. So I think he feels more confident having Russ there. And Chris Paul, I think Chris Paul was had Russell Westbrook's attitude, but didn't have the game. Not at his stage in his career that he was with Houston. So I do think Houston's a little bit of a wild card. I think it's just my.
No one wants to play him.
They're tough. Yeah.
I hate the Rockets, but yeah.
Oh, I know.
They're really good. And like Drew said, the score right now is it's like 10-20 or 11-21, but in the flash, it's going to be 35-40, and the Rockets are going to be winning. That's very likely. But bubble basketball is ridiculous too, because the Rockets obviously are a good team. The Kings probably shouldn't even be in the bubble, and they're winning by 12 right now. That's crazy. And then that's kind of what's happened with a lot of games. We see kind of surprises like what the Suns did, and Devin Booker. That guy's incredible.
The other wild card with Houston is they still have Mike D'Antoni.
Oh, I hate.
I don't know that he can figure out how to win a really difficult playoff series. I mean, his plan is just score more than everybody else. When you run into, if they were to run into the Clippers, you have Beverly and Kawhi, 2 lockdown defenders to go against their 2 offensive weapons. That's going to pose some problems.
Yeah.
I would say with James Harden, the one thing I've noticed about him is that it's hard to guard him. He's not traditional in a lot of ways. I think the only way you really the Spurs did a good job back in 2017, but Harden's improved a lot since then. I think what they did was they would put somebody right in the middle. Basically, he would run into somebody every time, and so they're trying to stop his penetration a lot and try to make him the dish. But it's hard to guard him because you play him on the perimeter and he step backs on you. You play him, you try to come out on him and even send the double at him. And he's good enough to pass, but he finds those buckets even on good defense. Which I think he is the best offensive weapon right now in the NBA. I'll give him that badge at least on my end.
You heard it here, folks. This is the first podcast in recorded history to determine that James Harden is in fact difficult to guard.
But when you have defenses that are elite, they only work against certain types of players. Certain players can still score a lot of points on a great defense. Is really what the playoffs are defined by.
I think he's the greatest scorer right now when KD's not playing.
James Harden.
Yeah,
I see that.
Yeah, because I do think KD has more. I think he has more to his game than Harden does.
You know who I told you guys earlier, or I texted this earlier. My new favorite player. I do like Russell Westbrook, but I hate that he moved to Houston. Damian Lillard. Oh my gosh, watching that guy play, he is a freaking monster, man, and that's a scorer right there too.
Yeah,
I saw him get away from a double team and take it straight to the hole easy. And, he could step back. He can shoot from 30 feet away. And he has a solid cast around him. That Blazers team is It's fun to watch.
And he called out Paul George on the gram.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Instagram feud. I know DB's been involved in a few Instagram feuds in his day. What do you think of the Instagram feud between Pat Beverly, PG, and
To be honest, that's the best part about the NBA is petty wars. I'm surprised we haven't had a sooner petty war. They've been isolated together for like 3 weeks now. So I love it. I think it's great. And I'm all for it. More and more and more and more and more.
I wonder if Dame is sending him a DM to meet him at the Tower of Terror.
I feel
Man.
like
And Rainer was talking about this earlier. It's like, okay, yeah, these guys are feuding, but what have either one of them really done?
Oh, yeah. So the point I was saying earlier was that you have Dame, you have PG-13 going back and forth on Instagram, and then you have Kawhi, who doesn't have any social media, but he's the one who had the trophy last year, and he doesn't even talk at all, you know? And it's just like these guys are beefing, but, you know, Kawhi doesn't say anything, you know? But he's the one who currently has the Finals MVP award, so.
But I do like how Dame in that post-game interview was like, well, they know. I sent Pat Beverly home a couple years ago when he was with the Rockets.
Yeah.
I sent Paul George home last year, so they know.
Hey, Pat Bev is an Arkansas guy, but, man, he gets a little scrappy and overstates some. I think he likes to use his teammates' confidence for his own. It's like, nah, Pat, you got to live off your own name, bro, and live off somebody else's reputation.
You know, looking back on it, I mean, it was awesome when it happened because we thought it was going to work out better than it did. But LaMarcus should have stayed in Portland. And had he stayed in Portland, he would have CJ and Dame to work. I mean, I think they could have been they could have done some damage because it's just not a thing in San Antonio.
But we did win 67 games the first year that LaMarcus came, I think.
Well, you also
I get it. But you also had Tim Duncan quarterback and him telling him where to be in his spots defensively. I mean, when you have a 7-footer and you're in the right spot, you're gonna do good things. But as soon as Tim left, his defensive rotations were terrible.
Yeah, well, that's not his game. He's not a very good. I do feel like he doesn't have that sense of like what Tim Duncan had, where he could actually figure out ways to interrupt the lanes a little better.
Right. Well, and you know, not only his defensive rotations, but Timmy was QBing the whole defense, and you know, LA. He's just that's not like you said, that's not his game, and I get it. And you know, the other thing too is just his skill set doesn't match his size.
He doesn't fit in the NBA anymore. Like his skill set it's a mid-range game, and now if you're big, you got to be able to play outside too.
He can shoot decent. He had a transition this year to shooting a little bit more outside, but he's not he's obviously not a Dirk, but
he's not a Porzingis or anything like that. Yeah,
even Jokic can shoot threes.
Yeah, no, you're right, Drew. And the other thing too is I don't really feel like LA can play all that well with his back to the basket.
That's what I was gonna say too. Like at least be good in the post.
Right. He's basically
playing the post.
Right. He's basically just a mid-range jump shooter.
Exactly. Yeah.
But he did. Rio is correct. His three ball did improve with the help of Chipper England, the Spurs assistant coach.
Awkward release still, but it goes in.
Yeah.
He seems like he's just pushing the ball into.
Yeah. Yeah, and so speaking of other scorers, you guys watched the Mavs and Bucks? You got Giannis versus Luka. That was a fun one to watch too. Luka is a freaking.
He's a good player, man.
He's incredible, and he can make any pass he needs to. He can make any shot he needs to, and he can rebound. He's a big dude. He's like 6'8".
Yeah, I don't. Looking at that stat line there, I think you said it, Paul. I can't remember the last time a player who scored that many points and had that many assists. It's usually like low scoring output but high assists. But I mean, what was it, 16 or 19 assists?
I don't know. I think Rio sent that one out.
I think. Well, you know, I remember hearing someone talk about Luka's athleticism, and what they were saying was that Luka, while he might not have like jaw-dropping athletic stats from like vertical jump or anything in that nature, his elasticity on his side-to-side movement is through the roof. Like he can bounce around so easily. And I think you see a lot of how he creates separation on that step back. It's crazy. Like it doesn't matter if you can jump 45 inches in the air all the time. Like that's one set of athleticism. But now the game's becoming like a little bit more of like an agility game rather than like, oh, I'm going to jump over you. I'm just going to like bounce off you and then hit a three. But his elasticity is crazy.
And he handles the ball well.
Yeah.
So 36 points, 14 rebounds, and 19 assists.
Yeah, that's 19 assists. That's
unbelievable line.
Stupid.
So, DB, if I had to ask you when Luka's MVP trophy is coming, because it's not a matter of if, it's when. How many years do you think it'll take him to become the MVP?
I think he can make that leap as soon as next season. A little more consistency, also staying off the shelf. He has gotten some kind of tic-tac injuries. If he puts together a whole season where he's not getting hurt, I think he's at that level and will be for some time.
Yeah, and Porzingis is starting to look good again too. And normally, what do they say? Like 2 years after an ACL. So it's already been a year, and he's kind of coming back around to his old self. But remember, he was pretty damn good whenever he first started out with New York. And he's a star that can probably carry his own team. So add that to the bag of tricks, and Luka is going to be, incredible.
Yeah, I think once the Mavericks get one of those top seeds, because that has to come with it, right? I mean, they're not going to. Yeah. I think once that happens, if they're a 1 or 2 seed next season, I think it can definitely happen.
So I do want to bring this guy up because now that we're in the bubble, we're seeing some other guys emerge. But Michael Porter Jr. has. Have y'all watched a Nuggets game?
Yeah, he's a good player, man.
Michael Porter's good.
The pride of MIZ, ZOU.
Yeah. Oh, he got a sweet shot too. I mean, it's just like nice and light. Looks good out of his hands. Yeah, he's big. He's like 6'10", so he's power forward.
He's a silky basketball player.
Good skill set, you know what I mean? Like these are what 6'10" players look like. Like LaMarcus is an old 6'10", not like old as in age, but like old as in 5 years ago NBA.
Yeah, and they have a pretty solid roster too. I think Jamal Murray is. I think he's a pretty good point guard, man. And I think if they don't start doing something probably as soon as next season, I think they're going to start looking at a new head coach because they're pretty loaded, I think.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think defense has a lot to do with it. A lot of teams aren't playing defense anit's you know what I mean? Like it's
hard though.
They're outscoring, they're just let's try to outscore them.
They don't. The rules don't allow you to play that good of defense. They pick up too many ticky-tack fouls. I mean that's been the problem. I mean you can't play defense. The guys draw fouls way too easily. I think Harden was attempting like their 25 free throw, or I don't know. Like the free throws that he's attempting is ungodly, and you're like, wait, what? Like that shouldn't even happen.
Yeah, even some of the fouls called in today's game, in the Spurs New Orleans game, it was just like, all right, can we like. Let him get a little like in there, like let him try to like contest a shot.
Like if you watch that Last Dance when it came on, how great it was. But when you would watch a gameplay, you're like, oh shit, that's like 5 flagrant fouls in one play. Bill Laimbeer committed 2 of them, and then Dennis Rodman committed the other, and then Joe Dumars pushed somebody. Like it would be like 5 suspensions for the rest of the series in one fucking Jordan drive.
Yeah, it's crazy, and like we were talking about the Suns and how good they can be, but nobody plays defense on that team. You know what I mean? Rockets, nobody's really playing defense on that team, and it's just like the teams that do play defense, they're okay, but I don't know.
Have any of you guys seen any of the Suns game? I haven't. So are they like playing well, or are they just catching teams on a bad night? And
that game that Booker won for them, he was pretty unbelievable. But I think you can catch people on a night in the bubble too. They're playing a lot of games back to back. It seems like there have definitely been some fluke results that are happening.
But the style of play is different. They're playing at a lot faster pace. They're just shooting. It's almost like a gym game. Like it's almost like a pickup basketball game. Like the way they're playing is also different.
I think I saw some number that like there's all 5 games yesterday had a total of like 250 points, average 250 points total. You know, that's 125.
That's insane.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. They're just shooting.
Well, I mean, the 76ers and Blazers right now are both at 100, 102 to 99. There's still 7 minutes left.
Right. And the Rockets Kings ended the first quarter 23 to 36. The Kings scored 36 points. They scored 49 points in the first quarter the other day. Did y'all see that? It's crazy.
Yeah, I think the Spurs dropped 46 in the first game in their first regular season game in the bubble.
These guys are almost catching up to Klay Thompson's stats.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Klay Thompson, game 6 play, man. Game 6 play. I'm gonna. You said something about you're looking forward to seeing the Warriors be back, and I hope the Warriors come back strong. And
they're in the bubble right now. Those guys will be scoring like 150 points.
And they're gonna get a solid draft pick.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, I heard Steve Kerr was on with Bill Simmons the other day, and he was talking about how he actually is involved in the draft process now. Like normally he's in the playoffs and they're focused on winning the game. So he didn't know who they drafted. He didn't know them personally until they actually drafted him. And now he actually has a hand in the draft process. But we're talking about young talent, and we have to talk about our boy Zion. And what exactly is going on with that guy, because he's still only playing like 10 minutes a game. What the hell's going on?
If I had to take my guess, I think he's out of shape. I think he is used to just being able to roll out there and dominate at the high school and even at the college level. But I think now at the NBA level, it's just, you know, it's a different game, man. It's a whole new game, like Rio said. I think he's gonna have to lean out. I think he's gonna have to drop some lbs, and because if he's already having knee problems, forget it, man. I mean,
so I think he's more hurt than we know. I think he might be hurt.
Yeah, but I think it all correlates to just not probably being physically capable of doing the workload. You know, it just looks to me like he has all the right skills, except that body, how big he is, it's just taxing him too much. He does look out of shape. He doesn't look very athletic on the court. He doesn't look very, he doesn't look very, not athletic because he can jump high, but he doesn't run down the court very
sorry, Rio. The only reason I say I went directly there is because when they were playing the Spurs, or they were playing somebody, I forget, he was like dragging ass up and down the floor. But as soon as he got the ball, he's making quick moves. So I'm like, okay, you have that in you, but you can't sustain that. So that just tells me, like, you're out of shape, man. And if you're going to be the anchor, like you're going to be the number one guy and you're going to be an anchor on the team, like you got to be ready to run, especially if now we're in a league that doesn't play defense.
He's just got to learn to be a little more of a killer. You can develop that.
Yeah.
A killer, or are you talking? I think he has that, but are you saying he needs to learn to be more aggressive, or
I think there's some mentalities there's some elite mentalities that would never allow themselves to be that out of shape.
You think he's a little timid?
Yeah.
I could see that.
People have made comparisons to size to Shaq, but it's a much different game than when Shaq was playing.
Right.
Well, Shaq came in the league in shape. He got out of shape after he won a couple titles. But
yeah, that's true.
He was in shape at the Magic.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was thin in Orlando. He was lean, man. It was weird. When he was in Blue Chips with Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, and you don't see fucking Zion leading a break like you think you should. Like you think Zion should be the guy who fucking gets the ball and just is on a full head of steam to the rim, right? Like he doesn't show that at all. But like somebody just said, I think Dane just said, is that the game is so easy for him, and he gets the ball and he scores like that. And it's so quick. And all of a sudden, the ball's in the bucket. It might not look the best, but it's going to get in the bucket. And he can jump out of the building, but his side to side is not good at all.
He's got some work to do.
I'm going to give him a hot take that he might not be a full-on star, like a full-on elite player until there's a good chance that this guy might not be able to take a workload on, especially at 82 games. I mean, I think there's a lot more conditioning problems down the road too because of just how he's built. Like, he's not built to be a 82-game basketball player. And that was kind of one of the considerations, I think, going into the draft, is whether or not his body could handle the amount of games and the amount of minutes it takes to be a star in this league. I'm not as convinced anymore. I mean, he had a full 4 months to get ready for this offseason or whatever, these last couple of games, and he looked shape as shit.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. I think at the very least, you know, the Pelicans had a very, very good shot of getting that 8th seed, right? And when they're in a game that means a lot and they have an opportunity to win and they're still only playing Zion 10 minutes a game, 15 minutes a game, like, that's red flags. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so right now I'm looking at the score of the Blazers game, and they're down 3. So the Sixers are winning 111 to 108. What does that mean for the 8th seed? Because
we moved to number 9, baby.
Grizzlies are on a downward spiral, right? Do the Suns have a chance?
Yes. There's
mathematically, yes.
I know they're undefeated and they're killing it, but you know, I think it's right now. It's the Blazers. The Blazers are on the inside track, right?
Yeah,
they're in the inside, but we'll see. You know, what do you think? What's your take? Taking out the homer in you. Let's start with DB instead of the Spurs fans, because I think I know where Rio's going with this. But DB, what do you think the 8th seed is? How do you think that's going to look when it's all said and done?
The best contribution to the playoffs would be Portland making it. So I'd like to see Portland, because I think Portland can do some damage against a 1 seed. Those other teams, Memphis, Phoenix, San Antonio, would get boat raced. So I'd like to see McCollum and Dame against LeBron, because I don't think they've been very good. So that's a matchup I'd like to see. So whether that, likely that means Portland's your 9, beats them, it's pretty tough to get in as the 9 because you got to win twice in a row. But Memphis isn't very good. So
yeah, I agree with that. I would say Portland is by far the best team. Sorry.
Yeah. Memphis just lost Jaren Jackson Jr., right? Towards knee up. Is that what it was? So I mean, that's it kind of puts a damper in their run. As good as Ja is, that puts a damper in their run. And then the bubble Spurs are a whole new team. What's your take there, Raina?
I think, like Drew said, Portland is the best team. They made it to Western Conference Finals last year. So there's the same team came back. They added Carmelo Anthony. So they're the same team. So they're the best team out the group. I hope the Spurs can slide into the spot. But at this point, if the Blazers do lose this game and the Spurs, they won theirs, I think we slide into number 9. It's weird with the bubble right now because there's teams that play more games than others. And so theoretically, the Suns could have more losses than the Spurs and still get in somehow. I don't, it's just uneven amount of games. Like some teams have played 2 or 3 more games than other teams. So theoretically speaking, a Suns team could actually have more losses and still get in. But I hope they find who is supposed to get in for the play-in games. But winning percentage, it's kind of weird when certain teams play more games than others.
I think the Suns come crashing down. Their last 3 games are Oklahoma City, Philly, and Dallas. Now, I guess it depends on I think Oklahoma City and Dallas are still in the mix as far as seeding, so they should still be playing. Philly, I don't know if they will, so I guess it comes down also to if people rest or not. But those are 3 tough games that they have left.
Yeah.
I agree with everybody else that I think Portland is the best team. They're the team that wouldn't get dropped by the Lakers in 4 or 5 games. I think the Spurs will be lucky to get one against the Lakers. But my own selfish reasons as a Spurs fan is just to keep the streak going. Although if the season has an asterisk on it, I mean, does this even really count? But whatever. But yeah, Memphis, I think. I think Memphis is already in their head. I think their youth is showing, and then losing Jaren Jackson Jr. Doesn't help, and Ja can't do it all on his own. And New Orleans, I mean, well, yeah, I think we can. I think they're done.
And I like that New Orleans team. I like it. It's gonna be fun to watch them soon. The Blazers do worry me as a Lakers fan. I think legitimately the Blazers could beat the Lakers, especially the Lakers we're watching right now. But I will put some stock in the fact that whenever LeBron decides to turn it on, he's going to make everybody better. And Dion Waiters is going to have to make shots. I hope J.R. Smith doesn't get much run because he looks terrible out there. Danny Green, I know you guys love Danny Green. He is a fucking no-show in this bubble. Oh, that's been a huge loss. Not even a loss, right? That's just been a huge, the Lakers need somebody to make a damn shot.
I mean, the Spurs and the Raptors, they use Danny Green very similarly. They used him as a kind of like a plug in a really good defense. I don't feel like the Lakers even have that type of mentality of let's play a really good team defense. Everyone plays perimeter. Certain people play inside. The Raptors had a good defensive scheme going too, so he found a spot there. But all Danny Green really is a 3-and-D guy, and doesn't work if your team doesn't play great team defense.
Yeah, because he works out well as a trailer from playing defense on the other end and then coming, trailing the offense. What I think also people aren't talking about enough, and I think they should, is the steal that Portland signed Carmelo Anthony for less than $1.5 million.
I love it.
Because that, I mean, you're talking, who is it? So it's Carmelo, it's CJ, it's Dame, it's Hassan Whiteside, it's Trevor Ariza. Those are household names,
Right.
Nurkic is a
Nurkic,
beast.
yeah.
That dude is
he's balling right now.
He had a big they're a big winner in the time off because he got healthy.
Yeah.
So that guy's a fucking beast. Hoodie Mello is the man. He can score anytime he wants to as well. He's a step slower, but he's a beast. I like Mello.
The Lakers should have grabbed him.
They should have grabbed him instead.
That's what they should have done. Yeah.
No, they would have really needed him. I feel like certain guys, they get these negative stigmas. Melo's one of them, and J.R. Smith's another. And certain guys should have it, like J.R. Smith. And certain guys should have it, like fucking Carmelo Anthony. The fuck? Why y'all put him in the same category?
I think.
It's and Avery Bradley is a huge loss. I didn't think he'd be so bad of a loss, but that's a huge loss. And Rajon Rondo is another guy who can run the point. Because I hate seeing the ball in freaking Dion Waiters' hands. I hate it. It's awful.
I think Carmelo got that stigma also by playing in New York. I think had Porzingis stayed in New York, people would be saying the same thing about him. But he got out early. He got out early enough.
Yeah, New York's a fucking dumpster fire.
I was listening as Bill Simmons. I think he was saying something about how he talked to somebody and he just said that New York wears you down. It just wears you down because there's no support. There's no support from the front office, and you just get used to being a loser. You're just a loser, and you just get rocked into this complacency where you just play games.
Can you imagine how you get ridden by the media and the fans in New York? I mean, they're ruthless, man. And I mean, as a fan, I'm not a New York fan, but I imagine they're frustrated.
I will say this: if Dolan hired a GM that could, a Danny Ainge type that could actually make some good moves and put one star in New York, man, that would be one of the biggest stars in the NBA. I'm sorry, but Brooklyn is never going to be the pride and joy.
Oh yeah,
right.
It's always going to be the Knicks. It's always going to be the Garden. And so if they could figure it out, it's like the Lakers. You know, the Lakers were trash for about 4 or 5 years, and they figured it out once LeBron figured it out. But once that they figure out, I mean, they're going to be a star. Like whoever takes over New York will be a big star.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, I get you. That's
if. I mean, it all starts at the top. Like it just Nolan's. He just seems like a idiot. I don't know him personally. I never really kept up with the Knicks basketball, but he just seems like a freaking nightmare. So we've gone through just the first full week of NBA.
That's my 2 weeks.
Oh, more than that.
Oh, okay, 2 weeks. Man, these days are just freaking like all mush, man. Like, it's honestly just.
No, I think you're right. This was the first full week because it started on the 30th, and 30th was a Thursday. So you're right.
Yeah, whatever.
It's been a week of basketball.
Week and a half, right? Yeah, week and a half. We had some freaking outstanding play. Who's your MVP of the bubble?
MVP of the bubble.
MVP of the bubble. So
you're talking about just in these last few games?
Yeah, just right now. Who's the
not taking the before the break into consideration?
Just the bubble. I'm gonna go because I watched him kill me, and killed me twice. Once gambling, and the other personally. T.J. Warren. That guy's a freaking animal, man. Like I like watching him. He's got the cornrows going, and he just has a shot, man. And he also is one of those guys who just plays with the chip on his shoulder, like fuck you. I'm gonna pull up and I'm gonna drop 30 tonight. You know, T.J. Warren is a freaking beast. And the Pacers are not gonna make any like big splash, but they're a solid team.
Yeah, they're like an old school team where
Right.
they're like the old school Pacers. Like they didn't have any big names on the old school Pacers except Reggie Miller. But they're a nightmare for everybody.
T.J. Warren that's my guy. I don't know. And then of course I just told you I love Dame Lillard now.
My MVP of the bubble thus far is Daryl Morey because his small ball is looking like it looks.
Daryl Morey.
So I'm gonna roll with Ja Morant.
Yeah,
it's not a winning team, but we're just talking straight up MVP. I'm gonna go with Ja Morant.
Yeah,
I'm going with Devin Booker, 5-game win streak. And it's clutch time, baby, and he's sweet with the rim, sweet with the net.
Yeah,
getting you them buckets, baby.
Good call.
I think they should absolutely make like an outstanding player of the tournament award or something.
for the what is it? The Honolulu Invitational?
Let me say one last thing about if we're throwing out awards. Most improved player, Luka Doncic should not have been on the fucking list. He's too good already to be a most improved player. That's bullshit.
Luka's he's been playing professional ball for like 10 years and he's 22.
Yeah, no, it was a terrible because he's too good. He already won Rookie of the Year. You can't win Rookie of the Year and most improved player the next season. It shouldn't be fucking allowed. That is just a bad call. And then Sixth Man of the Year award. Both Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell got on the list, and it made someone on comments made a comment like I read it. It said, "Wouldn't that make the other person the seventh man? Like, how can you have a sixth man on the same team? It doesn't make any sense from the technical standpoint. Plus, those guys both play 30 minutes a game.
Yeah,
are they even fucking bench players?"
Yeah, I mean we can talk about that another time, but that sixth man is, whatever. Like you come in and play 30 minutes. Are you really a sixth man,
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been great, man. This freaking bubble is back. Baseball's back. We didn't even talk about the Astros and A's getting into it today, which would have been a good topic because I hate the Astros and I hope you guys do too. But that's been fun. First major. Did anybody catch the golf? Golf result?
Yeah. Colin. What is it? I forget how to pronounce his last name. Colin Morikawa. He's a young dude, man. I think he's 23, and the only people to win the PGA Championship at 23 are Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, and Jack Nicklaus.
Dang.
Good company. He had a chip in for a birdie, I believe on 15 or 6, maybe 15, 14 or 15. And then he drove the green on a par 4 and eagled it to take him to 13 under and put it out of reach.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Yeah, that was big for sure. And by the way, the Blazers are up by 4, and Dame has, I believe, 49 points.
And Houston's tied it up too, so the degenerates are riding.
I told you, right? I told you the Rockets have. You said it too, but yeah, that's great, man. I'm gonna go catch the rest of this Trailblazers game. That'd be fun to watch. Who calls them the Trailblazers? I've been calling them the Trailblazers lately, and it's awkward. It's awkward. The Portland Blazers.
Why? That's what they are, man.
Calls them the Knickerbockers. I'm just kidding.
Or the New York Football Giants.
When I hear Trailblazers, I think Clyde Drexler. You know what I mean?
The Washington
Porter
football team.
Terry Porter, Clyde Drexler. What was his name? Buck. Oh man, center goggles.
No, it's Sabonis. Oh, that's.
Well, they had Sabonis, but then they had Buck Williams.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Buck Williams, man.
Cliff
There
Robinson.
go the Rockets.
Cliff Robinson.
Cliff Robinson. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, fellas. Well, yeah, that was great. Keep an eye out, man. Keep an eye out for the rest of this bubble. See how it ends. For the listeners out there, appreciate your time. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. You know the crew. We'll come back at you on Sunday. Follow us, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. If you want to get rich, we'll throw out some gambling lines there too. So enjoy the week. Have a good one, and see you next time.
Deuce.
Later.